porte-monnaie.
What's up YouTube, Dave here, and you are watching Studio Motors. Today we're taking you guys back to 1975. The very responsible adults at Porsche were shoving a turbo out of their 917 Le Mans race car, the championship winning race car, into a 911 to make the fastest car in the world. Even if you're not a car person, even if you're not a car guy and enthusiast, the name Porsche Turbo, those two words go so well together, so well that even my dog is named Porsche Turbo. So it's a legendary car, an icon. The 911 is one of the greatest cars ever made, one of the best racing cars ever made, one of the best chassis ever made, and still today it proves that it's one of the greatest. With every 911 iteration, it becomes better and better, and the Porsche Turbo is by far the pinnacle of 911s. They made one of the most dangerous, brutal, fastest cars ever made for that era. As a matter of fact, when this car came out, it was by far the fastest vehicle in production in the world. But the way they achieved that speed, I mean, it is crazy, it is dangerous, it's somewhat irresponsible, and I absolutely love it. They took a 911, then they took a 3.0 engine, and they dropped the turbocharger off their 917-30 race cars, their Le Mans race cars, which was dominating at the time. This thing in 1975 was pushing 256 horsepower and 250 pound-feet of torque. In 1975, man. Today we're gonna do Mulholland Drive in a 930. Very fitting car for this road. This was the era in the 70s, early 80s, where people were up here in the canyons racing their cars, and there was not really any houses up here at the time. There was no traffic really at the time, so people would come up here at night and race front to back. One car would be on the ass of the other car. The car in the front had to pull some distance from the car in the back in order to win, and then they would switch places and do it again. The crowd would determine a winner based on that performance. Porsche was heavily involved in racing. Ferdinand was always involved in racing. His son Ferry jumped right back into racing when his father passed. So Porsche's history in racing has always been rock solid. Now, they wanted to race with a turbo vehicle, but the racing guidelines for Group 4 and Group 5 required them to produce a minimum of 400 of the vehicles for purchase to the public. And that's why Porsche decided to take the turbocharger off of the 917 race car and drop it into a 911 with a 3.0 engine inside of it. Well, what happened was it blew up. The car enthusiasts loved it. There had never been anything like this. It's a tiny car with incredible balance, incredible ability to put the power down to the back wheels very, very sufficiently, because that engine is sitting right on top of those rear wheels, and it's placing all that weight right on top of the wheels, giving it extra traction. So the vehicle does move and behave very differently than a front engine mounted vehicle does, even from that era. The only problem was the car was made for race car drivers. The car was meant to be raced. It wasn't meant to be a road car, and a lot of people drove it like other 911s that they had experience with. The problem was this vehicle has massive turbo lag. It's one of the first turbo cars. It's got no balls, none. Under 3,000, you're not going anywhere. This is full throttle. full throttle. Nothing. All right, here we go. Yeah, baby! All right, nothing, and here we go. Oh! That's so fun. At about 35 to 4, the turbo is spooled up, and you get this insane pull that's indescribable in modern cars. And what happened was, it killed a lot of people. And it got the nickname the Widowmaker. So this is a rolling start, flooring it. Here we go. There we go. Oh shit! Oh man, it pulls so hard. It pulls so hard after 4,000, it's crazy. I just can't get over it. Like how they literally gave this thing to the public and said, hey guys, you could buy this. You could buy this and you could drive it on public roads. It's like handing a machine gun to a 3-year-old. $1975, there's nothing even close to being as fast as a Porsche turbo. There are some downsides when it comes to putting that much power in a car at a time where, you know, they didn't have the suspension technology we have now. They didn't have even the tire technology that we have now. So all of a sudden they have this little 911 with so much fucking power, and they realize they can't make this a production vehicle the way it is, and lots of things have to be modified on the car, because guess what? It's actually killing people. Once you think like, oh, I got it, it's not that bad, all of a sudden, bam, you're gone. You're going off a cliff at like 80 miles an hour if that turbo spools at the wrong time. It's a very engaging, exciting driving experience. Very manual. It's a driver's car, man. It is a driver's car, and does not do any of the driving for you, unlike a lot of modern sports cars. As far as an engaging drive, man, this is an engaging drive. This is what driving cars is all about. You know, operating a machine, lots of levers and buttons and monitoring the gauges and the pressure. It's so cool, man. Back to, what do I say all the time? How does it feel? And it feels fucking awesome. No matter what angle you scope this thing at, it's just perfect. It's a timeless design. It is absolutely beautiful. The turbo is almost 5 inches wider than a normal 911. So they used a wider axle in the back just to get that extra width in the car, and it's got a little bit wider width in the front as well. What makes this so awesome is the rest of the body is narrow, just like a normal 911. It's just the back fenders and the front fenders, especially the back ones, they are just bulging. It's probably one of the widest rear fenders with not a gradual increase in the fender, like it doesn't roll into the body. The body comes and it's just bam, fender. So it's got the fattest, thickest ass in any classic car. Even in today's standards, it is one of the sexiest things to look at. They needed more aerodynamics on the car to keep the car planted. That's where the whale tail comes from, baby. The whale tail Porsche. This is the car that gave Porsche the whale tail signature name, and it's carried over into modern vehicles as well, but this was the first one. Now, when Porsche made the original 911, there was a basic principle that they had. The silhouette of the vehicle must be immediately recognizable. You see it, you know it's a Porsche, and that still stands true in today's world. A 911, you see a side profile, you know that thing's a 911. So this was the first car that kind of really deviated from that design because of the whale tail. So the roof comes, and instead of like sloping all the way down, it's like bulging all the way through. This piece is actually rubber. It's like a thick rubber plastic compound of some kind. So there is a little bit of flex to it, but it creates a lot of downforce, and also it funnels as much air into the engine bay and essentially into that turbocharger as possible. I just love this thing. It looks so incredible. This is pure driver's car. That's it. done. Pure driver's car. When you get in, you're not seeing a bunch of extras and all these things. Your tach is right in the middle. That's what you're looking at. You're not looking at your speedometer, which is placed to the right of the tach. You're looking straight at the tach on this car because that's what matters. You want to hit your shifts properly. You want to know what RPM band you're in, especially in this car. Very, very driver oriented. Feels so raw. Feels so good to be in this car, to put it around corners. The bounce and the needles when you're like rev matching and shifting, it's incredible. It's a night and day driving experience from what you get in today's cars.